Hi, welcome to the Bitter Draft. My name is Phil, and by popular request, today I'm going to be covering why collapse is inevitable. Now, in the space of monetary monetary commenters on the internet, it is the free marketplace of ideas, and there are a lot of different ideas. Now, I'm hopefully going to show why I am correct and other people are wrong, and they'll have a chance to, on their channels or through their debates, to show why they think they are correct, even though they're not. So, I hear all the time. I hear two different things. I hear people in this space say, "Oh, the Fed, they need to tighten, or they need to loosen. They don't have the right strategy. They have, they need to do it this way, or voters need to vote them out." Or vote, change. We need to change the Congress. We need to change the president. If only Trump and his advisors could get in, this would be solved. Or if only RFK Jr. could get in and his advisors, this could be solved. No, the collapse is inevitable, and I'm going to go into why. I've gone into the theories of why it before. I'm going to show it again in more detail now. And the other thing I hear all the time is that we're going to enter a totalitarian dictatorship with worthless currency that's going to spy on you, and it's going to know everything. They're going to know when you buy, when you buy alcohol, they're going to stop you from buying meat. You're not going to be able to drive more than 5 miles from your house. Your money's not going to stop. Your money's going to stop working. That's not going to happen either. We are going to have a collapse into probably some pretty dangerous anarchy, but we're not going to have a techno dystopia. And it's also not possible to avoid this. So let's get into it. I'm going to explain why now. So the Treasury has 8,300 tons of gold. I say that with quotes because the Fort Knox has not been audited since the 1950s. So the Treasury has on its balance sheet 8,300 tons of gold. However, we don't know if it's actually there or not. And it doesn't... It matters a bit if it's there. The crash is going to be if the gold is not there, the crash will be more severe. However, we will be more free on the other side of it. If the gold is there, then the Treasury and the Fed can still maintain some control over the monetary system. So the U.S. Treasury debt of $32 trillion, I divided that by 42 because that is what the ounces. How many dollars it takes to buy an ounce on the Treasury balance sheet, on the Fed's balance sheet. Sorry, they have it listed as $42 an ounce. It went up from 35 in 1973 before they closed the gold window completely. But it is listed as 42. So I took $32 trillion, I divided it by 42 to get the number of ounces of gold, and then I divided it by 32,000, which is how many ounces in a ton, to get 23,000, really 24,000 tons of gold. So just the Treasury debt alone is about 3 times the amount of gold they have. And now private debt is about 61 trillion. Now I got this from Statista. I just did a Google search and I got this 61 trillion number from this website called Statista. It sounds about right. As I understand, U.S. GDP is about government's about 40% of GDP and private sector is about 60% of GDP. So these numbers look right. I might be wrong on the private debt. It doesn't really matter that much unless the private debt is under 8,300 tons of gold and can be paid off. Then it doesn't matter, because if you've written more notes than you have money to pay it off, then you run into a crisis, right? Then you cannot pay off your debts. So the private debt is if it is accurate as I think it is about 45,000 tons of gold. So as you can see, these two combined is an astronomical amount of gold that we do not have in Fort Knox. Now, maybe this gold exists in the world, but short of a gold meteor landing in Nebraska and being harvested, we do not have a meteor big enough to wipe out humanity. We don't have enough gold on hand to pay this off. So M2 alone, and M2, so forget about the debt, right? Because remember, the debt is dollars. M2 is just paper money and checking deposits, right, in the bank account. M2 alone is $20 trillion, which is 15 tons of gold, 15 and a half tons of gold, which is almost twice the amount of tons that we have in Fort Knox. So if they wiped out the debt, they said, forget about it, forget about all this Treasury debt, forget about the private debt, all debt is wiped off the face of the earth. However, we are going to be very generous, and we're going to revalue to, or we're gonna, we're gonna repeg the gold with what's in M2, right? You still would have to revalue to something like $75 an ounce, which means you're gonna lose about half. So we have about half of the gold to cover the paper money and the checking deposits. That's ignoring everything else. That's how bad it is. And when this all gets wiped out in either a deflationary or inflationary crash, this is all going to be discovered, and we're going to see just how poor everyone is. All right, so U.S. money. Hold on, I'm going to have some water. U.S. money is like a casino, and I've told this story before, but I've gotten rave reviews, so I'm going to tell it again. So I want you to imagine you go into a casino one day. And you have $1,000, and you're feeling a little flush, you're feeling a little frisky. So you come in and you take your $1,000 and you get $1,000 worth of poker chips, and you play the tables, and you have a great night, right? And let's say you make about $10,000. You make some good money, right? And you're about to check out and go home, and the casino manager, the floor manager, comes to you. He says, "Mr. Lowe, you're our most VIP guy. We'd like you to stay another night. And as a reward for staying, we'll give you $5,000 in free poker chips." And you say, "Good Lord, I can't resist that. That's too valuable. There's no way. I gotta say." So you call your wife and say, "Listen, babe, I got a work meeting. I'm working late." Or maybe you're honest with her. You say, "Listen, I'm at the casino, but I'm up big, and our ship is coming in, and I'm I'm pop the champagne, babe." So you hang up, and you do pop the champagne, and you notice there's a bunch of vendors also in the casino, and they'll take your money. They'll take your chips. Sorry, they won't. They'll take your chips as payment. So you buy some champagne, you buy maybe a pimp cane or something. You buy some gold cufflinks, some cufflinks, and and you stay the night. And the next day, you're back at the casino, and you're doing great. You're still up, and you're looking around, and you see everybody's winning, and you're like, "What the hell kind of casino is this? There is nobody with their hands in their head in their hands. There's no chumps. Everybody's doing great, and it's just like these people here at the roulette table. I mean, imagine if every number's coming up a hit." And one thing you did notice, the vendors, they have increased their prices in chips because they haven't redeemed the money. They haven't redeemed their chips yet, and they got to bring in. People are buying their stuff like crazy, so they got to bring in more stuff from outside. So they had to take out some loans and bring the stuff in. So they jacked up their poker chip prices, their prices for their merchandise and poker chips. But you have a great day. You're up to let's say $50,000 by the end of the day. And you come back to the casino owner, and the casino owner, you're going to go cash in your chips, and the casino, not the owner, the floor manager comes to you. He says, "Mr. Lowe, I can see you're doing great. Why don't you stay another night? And we love that you're here, and we're going to give you another $10,000 in free chips, right?" And you're blown away. Now you do want to go home and see your family, but you're just like, man, $10,000 in free chips. That's a lot of chips, and plus you got your 50 already. So you have a lavish dinner which you pay for the chips, pay for with chips. You buy yourself, you buy the big pimp coat and the pimp hat. You buy the rest of the outfit. You got spats on your boots. You buy a monocle just because you can, and you're just and you're tipping everybody. You're just having a great time, and you call your wife and you're like, "Listen, I don't know what this place is, but we're doing great. Let's put it all right." So you might even, she might even send you some more money which you cash in, chip, you turn into chips, right? So you wake up the next day and you're a little hungover, but you get back down there and you soldier on, and you hit it big this time. You hit it really big, and you've got, let's say, $200,000, and You finish off your cocktail at the end of the night, and you're staggering home, and you're exhausted, and you look, you feel gross, and you just want to get home to your family now, and you're ready to cash in, and you bring home the college money for your kids. You can pay off your car loan. You buy a new car. Forget about paying off your car loans. You're gonna drive home in a Bugatti, and the casino, the floor manager comes to you. This is Mr. Lowe. We'd love for you to stay another night. We'll give you give me $50,000 in chips, and you go, you're like, that's a lot, but I gotta get home. I gotta cash out. I need payment. I gotta get home to my wife. I'm thankful for these winnings. I gotta get home to my wife and kids. Thank you, but no. And everybody else kind of doing the same thing. And you see a little bead of sweat trickle down the face of the floor manager. You realize he's actually a little nervous. There's something, behind the calm and happy facade was an optimistic facade. There was a little bit of nervousness there. And he's like, no. Because everyone, listen. We need you to stay another night, and we will all give everybody $100,000 in chips for free, right? And everybody's kind of looking around, and no, we're just gonna. And he's like, no, $150,000, no, $200,000 in free chips. And it slowly starts to dawn on you. You can't cash those chips in. You're not up $150,000, $200,000. You're down the money. You're down the money you put in, and you're down the money your wife mailed you, right? The money your wife wired you. So let's say you're down $15,000, right? The money is not there. The casino owner took all the dollars and ran off with it. And so the casino's empty. They only have chips. And the only thing they can do is throw chips at you. So you're sitting there with $150,000 in chips. What are you going to do? You're going to run to the vendors, and everybody else is too. Now, the smart vendors, there might be a couple slow vendors who have been jacking up their prices who might still take some chips, even though the chips are totally worthless now because it's not real money. Here, I'll show you. We got some poker chips right here. All right. This chip right here says $5 on it. It's not $5. It's a $5 poker chip. It's only worth $5 if I can back it up. You can't take this and go spend it like $5 unless it's backed up by $5. Right? So I'm trying to drive this point home here. So the people, the slow vendors might take your money. They might take your chips. But most of them are just they've walked away. They've said, crap! I sold all these pimp suits and canes, and all I got were these stupid poker chips that I can't redeem. So they're they're packing up their stuff, and they drive away. And you drive home instead of buying the Bugatti and paying off all the loans and sending your son to college. You've got to go explain to your wife why you're down $15,000 in real money. All right. Now, I want you to take everything back one derivative. So instead of the casino chips, the dollar is what you're playing with, right? And the money is gold. If you can't convert the dollars into gold, they become worthless, no matter how many dollars are promised. So, as I said before, many times we are in a Ponzi. And you can't taper a Ponzi. You can't get out of a Ponzi. It doesn't matter how honest the person driving the Ponzi is. It doesn't matter how smart the person driving the Ponzi is. A Ponzi requires exponential growth to avoid collapse. And nothing can grow exponentially forever. So the Treasury and Fed, and I've showed you the curves that slope upward, both the debt curve and the money supply curve. And remember, they are one and the same because when you issue a loan, you create the dollars. The dollars and the Treasury debt they're the two sides of the same coin, right? The Treasury and the Fed are slaves to these curves. They're not masters of them. There's all this. I see this all the time. People saying, these evil masterminds are like they're just the master puppet masters. No, they're not. They cannot stop printing the money. That's the only thing they can do. Their sole job is to have these press conferences where they say, we're just about to get everything under control. Don't worry, everything's fine. They're just Bernie Madoffs. They're just like Bernie Madoff. There's no difference. When Bernie Madoff, he certainly benefited from his Ponzi. He lived a very, very lavish lifestyle. But every time he went home and he, brushed his teeth and he laid in bed, he wasn't sleeping. He was staring at the ceiling and he was thinking, I need to come up with $40 million tomorrow or this whole thing is going to blow, right? The same, Powell's the same way. Now he's a little, all his behavior is state sanctioned. He's not going to go to jail, and he can print the dollars to cover the debt, but he cannot turn dollars into money, which is gold. So eventually this Ponzi will blow up. And although, when I say they're slaves to the curve, they're obviously benefiting from them. They're living very lavish and flamboyant lifestyles, but they are not in control of the curve. They are stuck to it, and they cannot do anything to get out of it. So a CBDC will change absolutely nothing. I watch a lot of financial shows, and I see people talking about this stuff all the time, and they're like, the sky is falling, and we're gonna switch to a CBDC, and they're gonna, if I poop too many times, they're gonna fine me. I won't be able to drive away from my house. I said all that before, right? A CBDC will not change a single thing of what's happening. So the first thing they will do is digitize the dollar, right? They're going to say, oh, the cash is worthless. Everything's just a digitized, it's basically going to be like a bank account. That will have no effect on the curve. The curve still must grow exponentially until it explodes, and when it explodes, everyone will abandon the dollar, and no one will use it, and it'll be totally worthless, and we'll have to go back to physical money. And creating a new unbacked currency is impossible. They cannot say, okay, forget about the dollar's worthless. We're going to use this new currency. I don't know what we call it, a new dollar. We'll call it a new doll, right? We'll make this new doll, and everyone will use that. But it's not related to gold, and it's not related to the dollar. Then what do you buy with it? It has it's an abstract concept, and I've spoken about this before. Something that's an abstract concept cannot be given value. Right? It has to be attached to a real thing. Now they could say, oh, it's going to be, $1,000 equals one new doll. Okay, but they're still on the same curve. All you did was change you lopped off a zero. You're on the same curve. The curve will still hyperinflate. You didn't slow it down. You didn't cause, you didn't change it. You didn't change a damn thing. So the CBDC, just changing it to a digital dollar is not going to change anything. It's not possible to do anything else. I've seen people, like there's a guest I think on Mineko 64. He's saying they're gonna do some fancy stuff with the debt. No, they're not going to do anything fancy with the debt. If they cancel the debt, it will cause a hyperinflation, and if they slow down the printing of the dollars, it'll cause a deflationary crash. Those are the two options. There is no other option, because if you cancel the debt, right, the debt that's hanging over everyone's head, and servicing that debt is what keeps us from blowing our wads and spending like crazy, right? If you cancel the debt, everyone's going to take those dollars and go buy things with them, which will drive up prices like crazy, especially when they buy gold, because gold is the price matrix. And if they slow down the printing of dollars, they cause a deflationary collapse. Neither one can be stopped. They can't do it. It's not possible. I've covered this before. I'm just hammering the point home. If you still have questions of it, like I said, post here. I'm happy to discuss it further. All right, so the other thing that everyone's talking about now is the BRICS currency. The BRICS currency will not happen before the dollar dies. So all BRICS countries are holding large amounts of U.S. Treasury. China's holding a little bit less than $1 trillion. Japan's holding over $1 trillion. All the other countries are holding significant amounts of U.S. Treasury as well. We've spread our seed far and wide. So a gold-backed rival to the dollar, if everyone said, okay, let's go back to gold, that would destroy the dollar and the treasuries. And all of those countries would be walking away from their piles of dollars and treasuries. China would have to admit, now they should do this, this is the correct decision to make, but they're not going to do it. Because China would have to admit that they gave us, for 40 years, they gave us all that stuff, and we gave them green paper in return, which is suddenly worthless. They can't walk away. Now they should walk away, because America, as this gets worse and worse, America is going to make less and less and less, and borrow more and more and more. And they're going to have to make more and more and more and get less and less and less of real value. So, they should walk away. That's the correct thing to do. If you have a deadbeat cousin who comes to you and is like, hey, listen, man, I need $50 to go to take an Uber to go to a job interview. And so you give him the $50 and he comes back the next day. He's like, man, I didn't get that job. I need another $50 to go try this other job downtown, right? You know he ain't going to get the job. He's just milking you for $50. the best thing to do is, and you know he ain't going to pay you back either, right? You know those $100 are gone. You just walk away, right? That's what they do. But the trouble is, it's not $100. It's several trillion dollars in the world system, right? And finally, the elites of these countries, they enjoy the Cantillon effect in their own countries, right? They love printing worthless currency and passing it out and using that currency, because they get first dibs at it, to buy the stuff that they like in their countries, right? So the elites of those countries will lose their ability to inflate their currencies, and they don't want to lose it. So the very, very, very rich in the other countries are fine with the monetary system as it is. So pegging to a gold standard will remove that control. So BRICS is not going to happen. Now the currency is going to collapse. All these currencies are going to collapse, and we are going to go back to gold. But they're not going to. There's not going to be a BRICS gold-backed currency until the dollar dies. There might be one after, or each country will just go back to trading gold by itself. But it's not going to happen before the dollar dies. They're not going to walk away from it. All right, and finally, there's not going to be a cyberpunk dystopia. A totalitarian government forcing us to use worthless currencies forever is impossible. You cannot force people to use worthless currency. The dollar is not an abstract concept. It is an unredeemable promise for gold. And the only way to keep it going is this Ponzi system, right? They're not going to say, okay, we're going to make this new currency. I already told you why. They're not going to make a new currency and make you use that. It can't. It won't work. It will fail. It's not possible. It's not physically possible. There's not going to be this, cyberpunk dystopia. I promise. So don't prepare for that. You don't need to prepare for a cyberpunk dystopia with a big brother watching you everything you do. At least not for very long. There might be, they might be able to get a CBDC floating for a few weeks or months before the dollar dies. But even then, it's just not going to work well. That's not what you need to prepare for. What you need to prepare for is a collapse into anarchy. So a collapse into anarchy and rebuilding using true money again is the only possible outcome. So that is what the future will be. Now, the collapse in anarchy, it might be really, really nasty. It might be. I'm hopeful that it will not, but it could be. I mean, we could, the world could turn into a million Mogadishus, right? Where just, there's just warlords driving around in pickup trucks and nobody can get anything done. And, everything's just tribalism, and you can't go more than a few miles from your house without getting into a gunfight with the rival housing complex down the street. That is technically possible. I hope and pray it will not come to that it will be a very positive anarchy. But anarchy is very dangerous. When Thomas Jefferson said, "I prefer a dangerous freedom to a peaceful slavery," and I see people posting that all the time on the internet, well, you're about to get your chance. So the way to prepare for that is to build a community. Everyone get ready. The more people you can get ready with together, and the more stacking and prepping you can do, the better. I think I would focus more on stacking than prepping. I really don't think it's gonna be that bad, but it could. I can't see the future. All I'm saying is that that's the direction it will head, is to a collapse into anarchy. And hopefully it's very short, and hopefully we rebuild using true money, and the world on the other side will look much better, which I'm going to get to next time. America's future after this period of pain, America's future and the world's future will be much brighter once we're back on true monetary standards. Okay, thanks. I hope you found this video informative and entertaining, and I will see you all next time. Also, before I go, if you could subscribe and smash that like button. If I can get to 25 subscribers, I can do live streams. So I would appreciate that if you would consider it. I'll try not to be too much of a smash that like button and subscribe kind of guy. Okay, thanks. Have a great day.